So this webinar is going to be about basically the impact on videos inside emails when you're doing outreach, but not necessary. I think it's for everything, right? Here we go. So we got two people today. There's me. I was doing like a nice little ice bath. So I think for cold email, I think that's a nice picture for that. So basically, I'm the founder of QuickMail. I've been doing it for 11 years. I've been doing also a book. I've been doing 400 episodes. I'm still doing podcast episodes with my co-host, Jack Rimmer. I've done a couple of Udemy courses. I have a newsletter on quickmail.com/newsletters. Newsletter. You can actually join it. I don't usually share things that I share on the newsletter. So that's pretty new stuff. And I have a YouTube channel called Outreach with Jeremy. So I'm pretty busy in the world of cold outreach. And yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. So I'm full of tips for you guys. I run QuickMail. So QuickMail is cold outreach software that automates email and LinkedIn outreach. Our mission is really to help small and medium businesses to sell more. Right now, we do that with LinkedIn and an email, but we could also extend it if the market changes, because that's really part of our mission. There's a couple of things of how we're different from other software in the market. We really the best when it comes to deliverability. So that's really our focus. We have plenty of things. And I think even in this presentation, you're going to see a couple of things that we do differently. We have really good stats. Although like today I screwed up and we don't have the stats that I wanted, but nonetheless, I do have some stuff. And we're really good when it comes also to managing multiple accounts. So it's helpful for agencies. We added LinkedIn very recently and we're pretty affordable. So if you want to give it a go, I think our smallest plan start at $9 a month. So no reason not to try it. That's me.
Cool. Hey, everyone. I'm Bethany. I'm the co-founder and CEO of SendSpark. I feel like SendSpark has been my life for the last 6 years, so don't have quite as much to show for it. I just moved to Seattle, Washington, a couple weeks ago. I'm actually in New York City right now, and I have sent a lot of video emails, both from SendSpark for ourselves, previous companies, and then working really closely with our customers. So have a lot of insight. I'm excited to share. And I mentioned this for people joining earlier, but if you don't mind sharing like what your level is, if you're looking for more beginner tips or more advanced tips, then I'll try to tailor that as we go. So feel free to just throw that in the chat. A little about SendSpark. So the concept with SendSpark is that you can send personalized videos at scale, where think of it as like your typical Loom or Vidyard video message, but instead you record it, instead of saying, hey, Jeremy, or hey, Catherine, hey, Eric, you say, hey, watermelon. And then that's a variable that you can use for any first name. You can also change other variables in the video. And then you can generate, hundreds, thousands, infinite personalized videos to send to different people. So it's really powerful for email, LinkedIn, outreach, text, wherever you're sending your videos, you can send it personalized at scale.
Nice. Okay, so we're going to split the webinar into two parts. I'm going to present a few things when it comes to deliverability for email and links. Because actually there is like two parts whenever you're trying to do a personalized video. Sometimes you actually put a preview, so a preview image inside your email. And sometimes you just have the link. And sometimes you have both. You have the image that is also having a link to your personalized video that Bethany was talking about. So when it comes to image, so I'm a bit geeky. So if I go too technical, you guys can just say it and I'll be happy to just elaborate on stuff. But when it comes to image, what people don't necessarily know is there is two types of images into your emails that you can put. You can put embedded images or you can put external images. Now, the difference is mainly technical, but it has a huge impact. So if you're doing embedded, that means that your email contains the image itself. So as every email you're going to send are going to also have the message, contains inside the email. So you're going to have a high, what we call payload. So your email is going to be very big. But the cool thing about it is that people who have image turned off on their email client will still see the image. And that's something that blows the mind of a lot of people. It's like, hey, why am I seeing the image? I turn it off. And it's like, yeah, but we actually embedded within the message. And so because it's embedded within the message, then your recipient will see it. There is no way to avoid it. When it's external, your email is going to be very low. Your payload is going to be very light because it's only just a line for basically saying where on the internet the client email should pick up the image. But it may not be shown at all, because if your customer has, or your recipient, sorry, turn the image off, then you won't see it. But it's also sometimes the Gmail or other email client may also decide not to show it. So it's difficult to know if your recipient will see the image or not. And then you also have to decide if you want to mask or not mask. So when I come that to a bit later, but I explain you what it is, just in a few slides. The difference between the two, like why would I want embedded versus why would I want externalized? So embedded is like when you want your prospect to see the image no matter what, and sometimes it's helpful. I remember one of our clients had selling T-shirts, and he had T-shirts embedded with the logo of the company. And of course, if you just receive the message and you don't see the image, you can like very quickly, there is no pattern interrupt. You can just basically, remove it. But when you actually see the person with the T-shirt and with the logo, then that has an impact. The other thing as well, when you actually want to embed an image, is when you don't want to have external links. So you want everything to be within the image, within the email. So therefore, the blacklist of spam filter won't actually interrupt you. When you want externalized is because you may want to have different personalized pictures. So Bethany, got a service to have personalized video. Sometimes you also have personalized pictures as well, maybe with the logo of the person or maybe with the website of that person behind. And so therefore you need to dynamically generate those images. And usually what you do is you actually have like a different URL per person. The other thing as well is you may want to have open tracking, and so therefore knowing what your deliverability is, and you can use the image that you're embedding to use that. So it's a little bit technical, but basically whenever a software has open tracking, that will enable you to know if someone opened your email or not. If they open your email, then you will get a notification, and then you will know roughly 50% of people open my emails or 80% of people open my emails. And that will be used as a proxy for deliverability, knowing basically if your email is being delivered or not. And most people, well, actually all the softwares on the market are using what we call an invisible pixel. So whenever you enable open tracking, an extra pixel will be added to your email. And that pixel is actually a link to a server on the internet. And that actually caused some spam filter to actually just stop that. So what you do when you're actually adding the image in QuickMail, you could also say, use this image as my open tracking pixel. So it's a bit complicated. And then if you don't want to send a lot of data, like a lot of megabytes, and then very quickly overload your inbox, then you also want to use external emails. Here's a quick picture actually to hopefully simplify a little bit of that. So when someone receives an email, it will go through the spam filter, and the spam filter will do a lot of things. It will check that the images in the emails are correct, that there is no spam links and stuff like that. And then you will actually choose if you want to have mask or unmask. So when you have non-masked, that means you put in your email, for example, an image to your YouTube thumbnails. And if it's unmasked, then it will go straight away to YouTube and directly ask for the image. If you put it masked, it's going to go basically through a server that will then grab the image from YouTube and then send it to the recipient. But in the meantime, it will also track your clicks or track your views. Easily done in QuickMail. That will do. You will click on open tracking or click tracking, depending on what you actually want to track. So you don't have to track your images. And the same also for the links. So we'll see after that. But here's the thing that you actually want to tick if you actually want to not use the invisible pixel and actually use the image tracking instead. So that's been very, very quick on the image. I presume like everyone is probably super confused Do you have any questions about how to actually, or like what's the impact of images or how you actually should use images? Do you guys, okay, let me put it back. Do you actually guys are using open tracking and image tracking on your software? Okay, Eric. So there, okay. Thank you, Eric. So Eric is using tracking. So if you're using tracking, do you also use image? And if you're using image, then this you could use effectively the image tracking options here. You will basically use an existing image in your email that you actually use, and it will use that for tracking instead of using the open tracking. Good question, Mike. Mike is saying like I thought open tracking was dead. Actually, no, it's not. It could be, and we actually added some options here for Gmail to disable it because Gmail is actually more problematic with image. So basically, when you're sending an image on Gmail, sometimes, not always, depending on your sender reputation, it will actually not display the image and then say like, hey, this may be actually your spam. So what you could be doing, and then the problem is a lot of people were using image tracking to figure out their deliverability. And now it's not really possible on Gmail, but you can still use it for the other providers. So here, for example, in QuickMail, you could say, I want to disable my open tracking for Gmail. And so that way the email you will send on Outlook will still track, and then will still have a sort of like deliverability value that you can then use. It will highly depend on what's your profile for your provider that you're contacting. So this is my own account. So you can see that 70, almost like 3/3 of my leads on my account in QuickMails are on Gmail. So for me, Gmail is super impactful, but that's not always the same profile. So sometimes I look at accounts and they have like, 60% Outlook. It depends, if you're going enterprise or if you're going more tech or if you're going more brick and mortar. So sometimes Yahoo is pretty high because, like a hairdresser or whatever, they will use their Yahoo account. So it really depends on your target, and you have to be conscious of that. In a previous webinar, I was mentioning the impact of having image tracking, and until the beginning of the year, it was like not a problem. But this beginning of the year, actually, Gmail really started to look at image tracking that you're using. But if you're using like image tracking, you will use an image you're already sending. So my point is like if you're already sending an email with a message with an image in it, then you may actually want to tick this and you get the open tracking for free. Does that make sense? So an example would be if you're using your thumbnails, maybe with SendSpark, you will use like a thumbnail with a link to with an image. And that image will actually need to come from their server, and that will count as, an image, an external image, which is the same mechanism as open tracking. But if you already know you're sending an image anyway, then you can click this box and have the open tracking for free, because we're not going to add another pixel in your email. We're only going to use this image. Hopefully that makes sense. The other things that impact your deliverability when you want to have like personalization videos is obviously you need to link it. So you can't just add it all into your email. You're going to have a link to that personalization video. Is everyone actually using personalization video at the moment, or you're just like looking to use some? Oh, glad it makes sense now, Eric.
Is anyone using personalized video at the moment? Or you can write it in. Not yet.
Okay. Cool. So those are okay, cool. So you guys that's gonna be a good presentation from Bethany. Okay, great. So just know that when you're using those videos, then you're gonna have like external links. There is no way to avoid it. So when you have external links, then that may or may not impact your deliverability. And if you want, actually, you can actually create multiple variations in QuickMail. I don't think you can do it in other software, but you can actually create different variations. And for each variation, you can decide if you want to have, tracking or not. But if you do an A/B testing, you could try A/B testing with one without video personalization and one with video personalization. And then you should be able to see the difference between the two straight away. One thing that I noticed in QuickMail actually so that's a bummer. So as I was saying to Bethany, I wanted to figure out like the number of links, how much impacted the reply rate. So the more links you put into your email, the more, the more reply rate. I can't show it, but basically the thing is taking way longer than I thought because I can't actually get the data very easily. And so I couldn't actually get it. Like it's been like running for more than 24 hours and I still don't have my data. So, you were mentioning about the newsletter. That's one of the things that I will share on the newsletter. So I'll come back to that. But one of the things I realized while I was doing it, because I spent like a good amount of yesterday, just like, extracting data and then looking at QuickMail and then looking at what they're doing. So yes, I see that people who use image personalization have on average more reply rates. So that's a thumbs up for me. The problem for is like, there's not a lot of people doing that. So hopefully, Bethany can actually show us how to do it and, people will get more comfortable. But I think it's just because it's probably a bit more involved that people are not necessarily thinking of doing that. But it's a shame because it seems to be working for the people using it. So anyway, when it comes to links, it will also impact your deliverability. So when you're going to use those service for image personalization, you're going to have to wonder like, do I just put the link or do I put the link plus the image? So we look at the impact of the image, now the impact of the link. So when you're actually sending links, the one that won't impact necessarily your deliverability are going to be the links that are whitelisted by the blacklist. Basically, that are links that are not known to do spam and they kind of like, they are used everywhere. So for example, think about like all the business emails that are sent with a signature about your LinkedIn profile, right? So most of the blacklist knows about that. And so they won't penalize you for having a link on LinkedIn. But if you put a link, for example, to QuickMail or to SendSpark, any of the services, then they will sort of like be monitored more. They will have more scrutiny from the blacklist. And so you're going to have to be a little bit more careful. And then you're going to have to choose between masking and not masking. So now I come back to the masking, what it really means. So masking is basically, you're going to use a custom, what we call custom domain tracking. So you're going to use another domain that will then be added into your service. So in QuickMail, for example, and what it will do is it will automatically redirect to the actual address that you want to. So for example, if you want to point to example.com, then instead of pointing directly to example.com, you're going to actually use your custom domain, maybe mycustomdomain.com, and that will actually redirect to this example.com. It's pretty invisible in most software, really. So if I go back to this, you will only need to click tracking. You will just need to turn it on. What it will do next, it will grab all the links that you have in your email and it will use the mask version of your links. So you don't have to do anything besides having a redirect in your domain. And it's pretty straightforward to do as well. When you mask the links, you have to make sure that it's SSL. So that's something from your software. So I don't know what software you're using, guys, but if your software doesn't allow for SSL redirection, then it's going to have a massive impact on your deliverability. So you have to be very careful with that. Otherwise, you have two other choices. You have one which is obviously you don't mask, so you can try without masking. Sometimes it works, but you just have to be a little bit careful. But then also you won't have stats, or the other choice is to just basically write it without making a link. So you will actually write, https://myexample.com something, but you won't actually make a link of that. Because what happens is most of the recipient clients will then transform that into a link. If you're unsure, you could always check mxtoolbox.com. It's a great tool. It has also blacklist checks. So you should effectively enter the link that you actually want to point to, and it will tell you if it is in any blacklist or not. Well, we do that automatically with QuickMail when you're using a custom domain tracking. We check every day that you're on a blacklist or not, and if you are, we'll send you an email telling you like, hey, you're in a blacklist, you need to, to stop using this domain. Okay, question from Eric about the URL shortener. You should absolutely, like Bitly and stuff like that, you should absolutely avoid them, like 100% avoid them, because basically that's what spammers are using. They have, insert my, I don't know, like a website, let's say casino, that's less contentious. So let's say a casino website or whatever, or some drugs website, whatever it is. And basically in order to mask it, they will just use like a URL shortener. And so the URL shortener is used by people who don't really want to see the URL. So you have to absolutely avoid that. Most of them are blacklisted. So you have to be very careful with that. Loom is also another one. So Loom is tricky. So, Bethany was mentioning about Loom. Yes, sure, you could record your own stuff. Some people actually do that in QuickMail. So they record their own sort of video and they basically say like, hey, I got a Loom video about this. And then they basically send it. So it's not personalization per se, but it's still a video email. What happened is you have to be slightly careful because they may or may not go into blacklists. So it depends on the blacklist. There's 100 big blacklists in the world, and some of them are super strict and some are less strict, and so it depends on who you're trying to contact as well. So if you see that the service you want to use is in a blacklist, you could use your custom domain tracking. So basically, you will use a custom domain, and that will actually get around this problem. But the whole point of it is like minimize them. Like don't put 6 links into your email, because then every link has more chances to impact your deliverability. Okay. I think that's it. So this is how you enable click tracking in QuickMail. Again, you can do it per variation. So you could try one with and one without. So that's helpful. This is again the same thing. So this is your custom domain tracking. You will, with the software, you will basically, the tick box that you see will determine if it sends with non-mask or it sends with mask. And if you send with masks, then you will have stats for click tracking, because then the server can actually receive the clicks information. And if you send without masking, then we won't have obviously the information that we can't send to you. This is the SSL stuff. That's how it actually displays in QuickMail. So you could see, this is a good example actually. So this is an email that I use for outreach. So it's marketing@quickmailcircle.com. And basically you can basically buy it directly into QuickMail. That gives you like Gmail accounts, and they're all pre-configured with everything, SPF, DKIM, whatever. And it's also added to QuickMail, added to the auto warmer, like everything's just being done properly, but including the SSL. So there's, you can see that base.quickmailcircle.com is actually the custom domain tracking. And that will be actually the address that will be sent, where the links will be sent to, if you use mask links. I think that's it. Do you have any guys questions before I give, before Bethany goes? Okay, good questions. So Catherine, yes, some of my customers are effectively contacting enterprise clients, and enterprise clients are more strict or stricter firewalls. There are a few rules to these ones, but most of the time, what you could also try to send plain text. Sometimes that works better, but very often what it is like they're less. They're not necessarily a problem, but they can become a problem in certain cases. Like for example, you're sending too quickly to the same domain. Like if you're contacting like 10 person at that domain, then that's problematic. If you contact just one person, then it's a one-off, and sometimes it works very well. So you have to be careful, because at the end of the day, even like enterprise versions still need to have other external vendors or external people contacting them for the first time. So it's more about what your email content. And so if you want a good tips on what your email should content, is like try to open a conversation rather than trying to sell. And usually that works much better, and that goes through firewalls much better as well. So try to put less in your first email and then put things more in your follow-up if you want. Hope that helps.
That's a really good point too, that they're looking for the content of the email. And so having more of a, like an opener, genuine question makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's just the point is like you could put the, the personal video could actually be in the follow-up. It doesn't have to be in the first email either.
Cool. I'm going to start, but then if there's more questions, you can throw them in the chat too, and we can come back to them at the end. So a little bit SendSpark. SendSpark's a video platform to help you send videos and email easily. You might be wondering why, especially when, it means adding a link and adding an image into your email. And there's a few reasons that video are really powerful. One is it's a pattern interrupt, right? If you're getting a lot of emails, you see a video, especially if it's clearly personalized to you, that's just going to stand out. There's a lot of science that shows that people connect better with faces. So even if it's like a little face in the corner of your video, just having like that human connection, it helps. And what's interesting is I don't have like real stats on this, but I have talked to a lot of customers that even when people say no to a video email, they're way nicer about it. Sometimes when you send a cold email, you get all those really angry replies of like, how dare you find my email and email me? Like, no one ever says that with a video. Like, it just people to people, it gives you an opportunity to show rather than tell. I'm going to give you a really good example of this. There's one of our customers has a video that I think does a great job that I'll show. Video helps with retention. So people are going to remember what they watched in a video more than what they read in an email. And, the data shows that it works. I posted some screenshots from our customers of just, sharing some of their data. Keegan Otter said he was shocked, expected to get like a small boost video and got a lot. He's really, really good with video. And here's some stats from a campaign that we actually were running for ourselves at SendSpark. So what types of videos perform well in email? I break these into 3 categories. So the first one is like the face only video, where you're kind of putting a face to the name and you're recording a video of yourself. I've seen this work really well for both like LinkedIn outreach and also like warm things like, if you have inbound and people are filling out forms or booking appointments, but you're having trouble like with that no-show rate, then having like a face to the name that's like, hey, if you don't show up on this call, a human will be disappointed. Like the face videos can work really well there. Not always my favorite for cold outreach because I think the other 2 are better at showing value right away, but I have seen it work well. But the face only videos are really good for inbound and follow-ups. For outbound, I think product demo video, don't think of this as a 30-minute demo you're trying to put into a video. It's really just a quick teaser of like a wow factor in your product. So especially if you're reaching out about a certain problem and you're able to just show like how you solve it or how a customer has solved things with your product, like I think the screen recordings can get that point across. And that's when you're going to see, maybe less overall engagement, but the people who engage are going to be very well qualified because they know what you do. And on that sales call, it's going to be a lot easier because they already have that framework for what you can do. And then the dynamic background. So this is when, it's a video of you and the background of your video is going to be dynamic for every person. So showing like their website or their LinkedIn profile or something specific to them. This typically performs the best in terms of engagement for cold email because it's so personalized for every person. And even without watching, like they're going to be like, oh, that's my website or that's
you have to click on it. It's just like, what does it want to say?
Yeah. So this is probably the best for cold. And I'll show you an example of this as well. So, and you can create any of these with SendSpark. And again, the idea is you can create one for a cohort and then personalize it at scale. I'm going to show you how this works. I'm going to do a live demo. So cross your fingers, everything works perfectly. Basically in the SendSpark platform, like you can do normal videos. They would be here in the video library. What I'm going to show you today is the dynamic video. So this is where you're creating one video and personalizing it. And how this works is you would take a normal video of yourself, or you can record it here. you just say watermelon instead of the viewer's first name, and then we'll automatically make that dynamic. So I'm just going to use our sample video. Let me know if you can't hear this. I'm going to play the original video.
Hi, Watermelon. I just generated this video using SendSpark's AI.
So this is like a normal video of me, right? Like I recorded that. You can hear the AI replica here just to get a sample. So if you're doing this yourself and you want to make sure it's a good voice take, you can preview this.
Hi, Bethany.
So that sounds like my voice. And then this here's the dynamic background feature if you want to use it. So this would basically say, hey, take that original video I have and overlay it over the viewer's website. And then you can change some settings here, right? Like, you know, you can position the camera bubble different places. You can make it scroll down a website or back up, and you can adjust some other settings here. The other thing you can do is, so when we're sending the video, like the way Jeremy was talking about, we're sending as a GIF, like an image and a link. And so the person's going to click on the link and watch the video on the web. And you can customize all of this. So you can customize the branding on the page. You can also use your own custom domain. So if you don't want to use the SendSpark domain, you want to use your own, you can do that. You can also, like if you're buying custom domains for email sending, I've heard that having the same sending domain and video domain can help a little bit with deliverability. Most people don't take it that far, but it's something to keep in mind you can do. And then, you know, you can use text on the page. I'm just going to use a template so you can kind of get a feel for how it would look. And again, you can use more variables here on the page. So assuming this is all set up, what you'll do is add the contacts, and you can either sync these in from a CRM or from Clay or another tool, or you can just import a CSV. So if you have a list of contacts, you can generate these, make the videos. For demo purposes, I'm just going to type in some names, and then it's quickmail.io, right?
Yeah.
And then for the background URL, this is what's going to show up behind the video. If you don't have a specific URL you want to use, you can just check that box and it'll grab the domains. And then you can go ahead and click review and generate, and the videos will start generating. So I'll let these process. And then in terms of sharing, so now you might have 100 videos in SendSpark. If you want to share them, what you can do is download them as a CSV, and then you could upload them into a platform like Quickmail. To share.
That's what people are doing. They basically use a custom attribute, and then they actually just plug the video link.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in the CSV, and I can share it too when it processes, but we give you both the image and the link, so you could like import those, and then we also give you an HTML embed snippet, so you could upload that as a custom variable in Quickmail, and then just use that like variable in your email where you want the video to show up. But these videos will need a couple more minutes to process, so I'll move on and then just share them in the chat later so you can see how it looks. Okay, yeah, so some outreach tips as you guys are starting out. So really try to show something like useful, and the way I'd frame this is like something memorable. Like if you send a video to someone, what is it that they're going to tell their coworker was like interesting about that? Like, and you don't want to show so many useful things, but just one that'll make them like talk to a coworker. Hey, did you know you could do this? Sometimes it's hard to like record or write emails for automation because it can be really generic. You're like, what do all 100 people care about? So sometimes I recommend actually recording personalized videos for like 5 people. And then when you're like, okay, I just said the same thing to the last 5 people, you know, take the last video you made and make that one dynamic or record a similar one. And then in general, keep it short, be yourself. Like, don't feel like you have to be bubbly or you have to be something not, and just be, you know, talk to someone normally and try to enjoy it. I'm going to show this example. This is a customer of ours who he's a newer customer, and I just like the campaign. And what's cool about this is he'd actually reached out to me to sell me his product before using SendSpark. And he was using Loom back then, but I saw the video and it was really great. So we ended up using their product. So it clearly worked on me. And then now they have this set up to be like a dynamic video campaign. And so I'm going to play the video, and things I like about it, I'll tell you before going in. So the first part is dynamic, like basically their product lets you have an in-house Zapier. So instead of having like a straight up Zapier integration, you could kind of put it in your own house and then control the automations yourself. And so they did this over their prospect Zapier pages. So the first part of the video is like automated for that person. And then it kind of shifts into a product demo and they share how their own video works.
Nice.
So I'm going to play this.
Hey, Armin. Leo here from Alvado. I saw your app on Zapier. It looks solid, but it creates a lot of friction for your customers. They got to leave your platform, sign up for Zapier, pay for it, and figure out complex integration setups. With Alvado Embedded, you can embed a much better integration experience natively in your platform. And just so you can get a better idea of a white label Zapier alternative I'm talking about.
I'm not going to play the whole product demo, but you kind of get the point where, you know, it's like showing the customer's app, explain the problem, and then shifts into a demo of how they can help. But I will share this if you guys want to watch it. And I know their campaign results have been really strong with this too.
We're not going to affect their stats, right? Poor guys. They're going to think like, oh my God, it's so popular, this video. I don't know why.
Actually, it's funny. I did tell them we were going to use it. And but I know they also have Slack notifications set up. So they're probably going to get like,
oh no.
Wow, this lead's really interested. But yeah, and then the ones I made from SendSpark should be ready. I'll share it. Well, I'll share Germany's in a second. These typically load pretty quickly. Like I'd say between like 1 minute. Oh, there it just went like one to like 5 minutes to generate the new SendSpark videos. But the nice thing is we can process multiple ones at once. So if you have a list of 100, it's not going to take 100 minutes. Like it'll, you know, most of them will be done within the first probably 1 to 5 minutes. Cool. So that is all I have. I'm going to pass it back to you, Jeremy.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let me just start again. The sharing. In the meantime, if you guys have any question for Bethany or me, do not hesitate. And that's anyway the next point. So, yeah. Oh well. Go to sendspark.com. And if you want some cool tips every week, then like I mentioned, you could just go and sign up to the newsletter. Yeah, if you have any Q&A, I have a question for you, Bethany. Like, do you know anyone who actually tried to use AI presenters? So I'll tell you the background of the question is we have a feature in QuickMail called Mimic, and it's basically I can show you actually. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, so this is my own account of QuickMail, and I have one email. It's called, where is my email? This one. So we have John Parker here, but the cool thing is like it's a new feature that we added on the sending dashboard. You can go actually, yeah, here, and you can actually click mimic first name. So if this inbox is sending an email to Bethany, it will be Bethany Parker. That will actually be so I was thinking at the same thing is like you probably will need an AI to actually just like, you know, have a different person. But
yeah.
what did like does anyone like doing anything like that or anything along those lines? Do you know anyone doing the AI, like as recording the AI video?
Oh, like having like an AI generated video?
Yeah, for the person.
No, well, so we don't do that. So we kind of actually get people who have considered that, but then found it didn't work. The thing is, I think that there's still an uncanny valley for doing the avatar videos. But that being said, like we actually have done it on social. Like we'll do like TikTok videos that work like extraordinarily well. But I think it's because it's like a different vibe. It's like when you're reaching out, like especially when it's like email or LinkedIn, it's about being personal. But if it's like an ad, like, you know, we have this little AI model with like striking eyes, it's really captivating. So we'll use that for some things. And I actually think avatars would work better if they're not supposed to be you and it's supposed to be like Bethany Parker or like a fake name. But I don't know, it's tough in sales because like what happens when you get on the call and it's not really you? So if you're going to have like a virtual seller, I think go through this.
Yeah, I mean, This is more or less like a fun option, a fun feature because I do remember I replied to a few Jeremys and I'm like, oh, cool name by the way, or just sort of like things like that. But so I really wanted to see like is that going to go anywhere? Does that actually get you a lot more results? Because I mean, trust is built obviously by familiarity, but at the same time I always advocate not to start on on a lie, don't start a conversation or on a
Yeah.
on something not
And every now and then you see an angry LinkedIn post where someone's like really angry because someone whose name doesn't exist at a company.
like Jessica. Do you remember the post that I posted on LinkedIn with Jessica?
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
I think that's what you're thinking because you posted on it to say, "Oh man, poor Jessica." I was like, "No, Jessica doesn't exist. There's
Oh,
no
yeah,
Jessica
yeah,
at this company."
yeah, it's a fake name. So yeah, you're right. I forgot that was you. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But what does come up a bit is sometimes we'll work with a team, like a company that has a large sales team, and one person's super excited to make videos, and then the other
Yeah, that's great.
don't really want to. And so like I just got off a call with someone. They're like, yeah, only one person made a video. So like the other people can't send it. And I'm like, it's actually fine to send one person's video and all the emails from different people. You don't have to pretend it's that person, but just to be like, oh, here's a video from someone else on my team that shows we can do. Because we've seen people get really good results that way. And it's so much lower friction because you don't have to have everyone record their own personalized video. You just, whoever it is that's your video person makes one and everyone can just add in their contact name and send it out.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And also, sometime, it's just the appointment setter, especially for enterprise stuff, right? It's like, hey, are you interested? Well, I'm gonna, connect you with John or Sarah, and then that's really how the conversation goes. You never actually go on call with the appointment setter unless he's trying to pre-qualify you
Yeah.
as part of their role. Yeah.